In Bruges is a black comedy crime film released in the year 2008. The plot of the film follows two Irish hitmen, Ken and Ray, who are sent to Bruges, Belgium to keep a low profile after one of Ray's missions goes wrong. Although Ray loathes the city, he and Ken get to have life-changing experiences as they encounter an American dwarf and a love affair for Ray. However, things become complicated for them when Ken is asked by his boss to kill Ray. Set in Bruges, Belgium, the film starts with an Irish hitman, Ray, narrating the story of how he ended up in Belgium. After his hitman job went unsuccessful, he along with his mentor Ken are sent to Bruges by their employer Harry Waters, where they are to await further instructions. Upon reaching Bruges, the duo checks into a hotel that is booked by Harry for 2 weeks. Ray flips out after knowing that they are supposed to stay in the city for so long as he is unaware of the place and finds it quite boring. On the other hand, Ken finds its beauty and peacefulness enchanting, almost like a fairy tale. While sightseeing, Ken enjoys the serenity of the peace, whereas Ray seems totally uninterested as he grew up in Dublin, which is a happening city to live in. When Ken offers Ray to visit the bell tower's top, Ray refuses. Ken enjoys the view from the top, whereas Ray picks a fight with an American after he calls him a fat elephant. Later, the duo spends some time at a bar where Ray proposes to spend 2 days max in Bruges and then leave back for London. Ken refuses and suggests following Harry's order to wait for his next call. He then explains to Ray that it's pretty elaborate that they've been sent to Bruges for a mission. However, Ray is still bored and desperately waiting for Harry's call. At night, he suggests going out to a pub. When Ken refuses to go, Ray tricks him into saying that the old medieval buildings of Bruges look even more beautiful at night when they are all lit up, prompting the hesitant Ken to take him out. While sightseeing buildings, Ray turns into a Dutch film shoot and is amused to see a dwarf actor performing. He races towards the scene and is awestruck to see the gorgeous production assistant Chloe. Despite Ken's reluctance, Ray pursues Chloe and asks her out on a date. Chloe does not give a proper answer to him and instead throws a card with her phone number for Ray. Meanwhile, Ken returns to the hotel and receives a message full of curse words from Harry saying that Ken should be available tomorrow to talk on a phone call. The pregnant receptionist, Marie, who handed Ken the message, leaves a note for Ken that she is not a receptionist but a co-owner of the hotel. Late at night, while Ken is asleep, Ray returns back to the room and disturbs his sleep by recounting the events of his night. The next morning, while having breakfast at the hotel, Ken apologizes to Marie for the expletive message that she had to deliver to him last night. Later, he shows Ray the message and strictly tells him to stay in the hotel tonight so that they can talk to Harry on the phone. However, Ray is afraid that it won't be possible as he has a date for the night. Ken berates Ray for his sudden change of attitude as he hated the city before. He relents to let him go on a date only if he keeps a low profile and stays out of trouble. Plus, he keeps a condition that Ray has to explore the city with him the entire morning and afternoon. Ray reluctantly agrees, after which the duo head out to the church. Ray keeps throwing tantrums and expresses his contempt for the place, earning Ken's resentment. Later, Ray sees the dwarf actor on the street and tries to greet him, but the dwarf passes by him, completely ignoring Ray. Ray then goes into a flashback which reveals that following Harry's orders, he shot a priest during confession, but accidentally, he ended up shooting a young boy to death who was also present in the church. This is why he and Ken have been sent to another city until things cool down back in London. Back in the present, while exploring, Ken and Ray talk about the bitter reality of being a hitman and living with the constant guilt of murdering people. Ray feels terrible for killing the little innocent boy and still can't wrap his head around the fact that the boy is no more, all because of him. Ray's remorse makes him want to die, but Ken warns him from thinking this way. Later at night before going for the date, Ray is extremely nervous but also excited. He takes Chloe to a restaurant where the two of them talk about their respective professions. Ray tells her that he kills people for money, whereas Chloe reveals that she sells drugs to Belgian film crews. When Chloe leaves for the restroom, Ray gets into an argument with a Canadian couple mistaking them for Americans who are furious at him for blowing cigarettes in their faces. Ray loses his cool and ends up knocking the couple unconscious. When Chloe returns from the restroom, she is surprised to see the situation. Ray leaves the restaurant with her and tries to assure her that he hit a woman in self-defense. However, Chloe does not mind it and kisses Ray to ensure that she is fine with it. Meanwhile, Ken receives a phone call from Harry who asks him about Ray's whereabouts. Ken lies to him that Ray is with him at the moment. Harry orders Ken to send Ray out for an errand without sounding suspicious, but since Ray is already out, Ken acts as if he just sent him out for a chore. After assuring Harry that Ray is not around, Ken tells him that he is enjoying the city, but it is not Ray's cup of tea. Harry is offended as he loves Bruges, so Ken quickly covers up for him and lies that Ray initially did not like the town but now has fallen in love with it. Harry then orders Ken to kill Ray, on the code that murdering a child is unjustifiable. Before hanging up, he also asks Ken to let Ray explore Bruges so he can have one last, joyful memory before he dies, leaving Ken speechless. On the other hand, Chloe takes Ray to her apartment where they begin to get intimate. But before they could do so, Chloe's ex-boyfriend Eric interrupts them by pointing his gun at Ray. However, the expert hitman, Ray, disarms Eric and shoots the gun loaded with blanks at his eyes. While Eric screams that he's unable to see, Chloe reveals that she and Eric tricked tourists and later robbed them. Ray becomes disappointed, but Chloe keeps convincing him that she had told Eric that Ray was not a target. Seeing Eric crying like a baby, Chloe decides to take him to a hospital. Ray feels sad that he knew that Chloe was too good to be true. However, Chloe actually likes Ray and before leaving, kisses him goodbye and asks him to call her back. In Chloe's absence, Ray goes through her belongings and steals her stash of drugs. Meanwhile, the puzzled Ken arrives at the pub to have a drink. The dwarf actor, Jimmy, also happens to be in the pub and he and Ken chat for a while. A moment later, Ray also arrives and recounts his horrible date experience to Ken. When he tells Ken that he has also stolen Chloe's cocaine, Ken takes a few grams from him to ease his stress. Ray then interrupts Jimmy while he is kissing an escort to question him about why he didn't wave back to him earlier. Jimmy tells him that he was not in his senses due to a horse tranquilizer that he had. Ray feels weird to see Jimmy and his escort friends' odd behavior, so he also offers them drugs. The entire group spends the night together doing drugs. When Ray questions Ken about Harry, Ken lies to him that he did not get any call. Jimmy then starts ranting about an upcoming war between blacks and whites. However, Ken leaves the discussion when he realizes that Jimmy is a pure racist, and Ray follows him after attacking Jimmy with a karate move. Ray is unable to sleep all night as his guilt keeps him awake. The next morning, Ken goes to meet Harry's local contact Yuri, who supplies him with a gun equipped with a silencer. After taking the gun, Ken returns back to the hotel only to find out from Marie that Ray was behaving oddly in his absence. When Ken inquires more about it, Marie tells him that Ray gave her all the money he had for her upcoming baby. Marie refused, but due to Ray's constant insistence, she took it. So Marie gives the money to Ken and asks him to return it back to Ray as she does not want to sound ungrateful. Ken quickly tracks down Ray to a park and finds him sitting on a bench. He approaches Ray to kill him, but before he could fire the bullet, Ray points Eric's loaded gun on his own head to commit suicide. Seeing Ray trying to kill himself, Ken stops him. Ray is shocked to see Ken holding a gun and realizes that he was about to shoot him. Ken then elucidates the situation to Ray. He then confiscates Ray's gun after realizing that he is a suicide case and tells him to leave Bruges and make a fresh start. Ray starts tearing up as his guilt of killing a little boy is eating him up from the inside and prompting him to commit suicide. Ken consoles him and encourages him to save a little boy elsewhere to ease his conscience. He then gives Ray some money and puts him on a train to another city. Before departing, Ray asks Ken for his gun, but Ken refuses to give it to him. Seeing Ray's hesitation to leave, Ken motivates him to learn a new language, acquire a new profession, and return back to his hometown a few years later once things cool down. Through Ken and Ray's conversation, it becomes clear that it was Ray's first hitman job when he killed the little boy accidentally. Before seeing off Ray, Ken comforts him by telling him that he failed because he is not made for killing people. Ken then reports the truth back to Harry and openly challenges him to do anything with him as he will be in the same hotel for a while. Harry is enraged at the defiance and bangs the phone out of anger. He then decides to fly to Bruges and before leaving, bids farewell to his family. On the other hand, while Ray is on the train, the Canadian couple he fought in the restaurant recognizes him and reports him to the police who escort Ray back to Bruges. Meanwhile, Harry arrives in Bruges and visits Yuri to pick up a gun. Eric happens to be present there as he is Yuri's son. He complains to Harry about Ray's maneuver and learns that Harry has arrived to kill Ray. Harry then spots Ken sitting outside a cafe and approaches him. When he berates Ken for disobeying, Ken reveals that Ray attempted suicide but he stopped him, making Harry even more furious. Harry claims that if he himself had killed the child, he would have taken his own life on the spot. However, Ken keeps arguing that Ray deserves a second chance as he has the capacity to change and do something decent with his life. On the other hand, Chloe bails Ray out, after which Ray promises to pay her back. Meanwhile, Ken realizes that Harry is enraged and will definitely kill him, so he suggests that they go to a secluded area to carry out the proceedings. The two of them head over to the bell tower, and despite the watchman's refusal to let them in, they barge inside after Harry brutally smacks the watchman. Eric, who is passing by the street, witnesses the scene. Meanwhile, Chloe and Ray share a drink outside a cafe where they bump into Jimmy and mock him together. At the top of the bell tower, Harry pulls out his gun on Ken, but Ken refuses to fight back and tells Harry that it is entirely his call to kill him. Harry tries to provoke Ken to fight back, and exacerbated, he shoots him in the leg as punishment for not killing Ray. On the other hand, Eric spots Ray enjoying himself with Chloe and rushes to Harry to tell him about it. Harry, who is helping Ken down the stairs, fumes after finding out about Ray. Seeing his rage, Ken tries to disarm him, but in the struggle, Harry shoots him in the neck. While Harry rushes downstairs, Ken struggles to drag himself back to the top of the tower. Ray, who is busy romancing Chloe, is interrupted when Ken jumps from the top of the tower. Ray rushes to Ken's broken body and learns from him that Harry has arrived. Before taking his last breath, Ken tells Ray to take his gun, but it has been broken in the fall. Harry encounters Ray and pursues him to the hotel. Ray gets into his hotel room and searches for Eric's loaded gun. Meanwhile, Marie does not let Harry enter her hotel even when he threatens her with his gun. Ray suggests Harry leave Marie alone and continue the chase on the canal. Keeping his word, Ray jumps onto a passing ship but loses his gun in the process. Harry spots Ray and shoots him in the stomach from a distance. Shot, Ray lurks onto the street and arrives at Jimmy's film shoot. Harry chases him and pierces his body with multiple bullets. However, in the shootout, he mistakenly fires Jimmy in the head, who is dressed as a little boy. Believing that he has just killed a child, Harry sticks to his principle and puts the gun in his mouth, shooting himself to death. The film ends with Ray's body being dragged into an ambulance and him narrating that he really hoped he wouldn't die in the city he loathed the most. This movie has a rating of 7.9 on IMDb. The budget of this movie was around $15 million, and, at the box office, it earned $34.5 million. I hope you all liked this video. If yes, then make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.